Hello. I had a question that was asked of me earlier today, and I thought it was well worth discussing. So today we're going to take a little bit of a look at the concept of passing arguments to procedures ByRef versus ByVal. As you can see in front of you, I've got two very similar functions. As a matter of fact, there's not much different between them. But if you look closely, you can see that, of course, the name's different. This is calc nums ByVal. This is calc nums ByRef. And those names are suggesting that we're looking at the difference between how the arguments are going to be passed. In the first function, we're passing the arguments ByVal or by value, whereas in the second function, we're passing parameters ByRef. Well, how you pass an argument to a procedure or function can change depending on what you want to do, and you need to consider protection and performance. Now, with regards to protection, if you want to protect the original value that you're going to pass to, in this case, a function, so it can't be changed, then you're going to want to use ByVal, which passes a copy of the original value. Since passing an argument ByRef is using the actual memory address of the item, a pointer to where it actually resides in memory, it will change the original value if the argument passed itself is changed. So protection is important, but also performance is important. When we're creating a complete copy of a large value type, like something like a structure, now that's a concept I don't normally introduce in an Introduction to Programming course, but if you were to pass something like that ByVal, it's going to have a lot more overhead. If you pass it ByRef, it's going to be a lot better performance-wise. Now, small data types, like we cover in Introduction to Programming, have pretty much negligible difference. It's the large ones that are of concern. For large value types, it could be a significant difference depending on what you're doing. So in this little example, I'm going to show you a little bit about what the difference actually is, even in a simple example, between how these data values are being passed using ByVal and ByRef. So we've got the two functions there, and also hidden away I've got a button click procedure. And I'm going to ask the user to input two numbers. I'm going to call the first function, pass the two values in. It's going to do some math, and it's going to pass the answer back and display it in the message box. I've got a breakpoint set so that we can watch what's happening along the way. So let's go ahead and start. So here I go. I'm going to press my F11 key, and it's going to ask me to enter a number. I'm just going to put in number 1. And I'm going to press F11 again. Here comes number 2. And I'm going to go on, continue on. So here is my first function. And you can see that I'm going to pass in number 1 here as single, number 2 as well. And it's going to go ahead and do the math. And there's the answer being held in this variable. Answer is 3. Now I'm going to take these arguments that were passed in. I'm going to add 1 to each of them. So now num1 is 2, num2 is 3. I'm going to return the answer. And as I mouse over here, remember how I originally added 1 to each of these in the function? Well, obviously, I passed ByVal, so the original value was not changed. The original value of these variables was not changed, just a copy of those values was sent to the function. I changed those, but it had no impact whatsoever. As you can see, num1 still has a value of 1, and num2 still has the value of 2. So that is typically how we would use ByVal. Now let's comment out that first function call and uncomment this one, and let's try it again. See what's different this time. So I'll still enter in my numbers and I'll just use the same numbers even. Here we go, calling the second function. So now we're looking at this passing in an argument by ref. So we have 1 and 2. Adding it together, there's our answer 3. Now watch what happens. I'm going to add another 1 to num1. It's now 2. And I'm going to add another 1 to num2. So it's now 3. I'm going to return the answer. Now watch this. Look what happened. The answer is 3, but num1 now holds a 2, and num2 now holds a 3. So when I passed the values by ref, I actually changed my original values. I've got one more little example I want to show you. So I'm going to comment out all the remainder of this code. And I'm going to uncomment this code that's right here. And this is using another procedure that I didn't show you before, and this is a sub-procedure. I'm not actually returning anything back, but watch how useful this ByRef can be. So we have this calculate det method, and it is accepting a rate as an argument ByVal, and then it's also accepting det, which is being passed by ref. And then I'm doing some math, and look, it's just sitting there. I'm not returning anything. There's no message box. So let's take a look and see what's going to happen. So I'll comment that out right now. So there's my first variable. Rate is double. Det is also double. Here we go. Calculate det, passing it in the rate and the original det. Rate is ByVal. Det is ByRef. Doing the math. Det now has a new value. It was passed by ref. So when I come back here, now I can actually display the answer with the new det. Now that's got pluses and minuses, right? There are times when using this technique would be very useful. If we had a large value type, using ByRef is going to save us a little bit of overhead, but it's also a double-edged sword if you're not really sure what you're doing. So if you do not need to pass something by ref, it's safer just to pass ByVal. But keeping in mind that if there are those times when you do have a lot of overhead and you're looking at every way possible to speed up the process for your application, then this is definitely something that you want to keep in mind. Until next time.